away we go for Tuesday's show. Bitcoin, What are we going to do? Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Looking at right now Bitcoin futures chart. On the daily, nice little rebound, thank goodness. And we'll talk all about Bitcoin, the crypto harmonic framework. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're here Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 12 noon. So if you need to get the notification, please subscribe. That's what everyone's telling me to tell you guys. Hit the like button. I guess that's the other thing. And jump on in. So after Saturday's session, the surprise session was a washout. We're not going to get the 11.5, 11,000 target on the flush. They want to come in for a little temporary pause. And that's okay. So we talked about looking to tomorrow or Wednesday for some kind of low. I'll get in a little bit about that in a minute. But, a lot of things here. For at least the end of a devastating 3-month decline to have a counter trend rally for a little bit, let's get into it. Big shout out to everybody. Claire, David, Kevin, Will, Snacks, James, Angel, Jordan, Victoria, Crypto. Hi, Miss Stephanie. I'm avoiding you. I'll be honest. I really am, but we'll talk. David, what's happening? Thanks again for all your help, you, Snipes, and the other folks. You guys make this community great, and again, I really appreciate the feedback. I will get in towards the end of the session where you guys can get more information. Basic membership, harmonictrader.com is where you want to get all the free resources for harmonic patterns. But for now, let's jump into the Bitcoin deal. Saturday was pivotal. After we hung up, and got out of there, market went down a little bit more. Then yesterday we looked at things, and we really needed to see at least amplified RSI. That was the final conclusion from yesterday. The whole washout this weekend. How far was it going to go? And it looked like Ethereum having almost $200, or basically less than almost exactly $200 away from the 680 target. So we are close to numbers. Does that mean that it's over? No, of course not. Does it mean that there's a process to the completion? Probably. No capitulation now. At least the knife has stopped falling for this week. And I would argue maybe into the end of the month. Couple of obvious levels. We're looking at Bitcoin futures right now on the daily, and they opened it up. And amazingly, we're at the hop level. Let's look at this zone here for Bitcoin futures before we get into anything else. So we had the washout this weekend and had the recovery before the open today, which, with the holiday and with the extended weekend, gave it extra time to do, at least for now, try to get a pause here, some stabilization. And this kind of reminds me like the end of March, folks. I really want to be clear that anything that we see counter trend here is just all reaction. I mean, by definition. But we did end up being 17.6, 17.7 on the spot price. That got you some lower levels, and although it wouldn't register or trade due to the Bitcoin futures being limited to trading hours, not 24/7, you can think of that as like aftermarket overspill. Going in the aftermarket, traded beyond that hop level and then was able to recover. That's something that if you're working with the software, especially futures traders, NASDAQ, S&P, commodities, you're going to see really unique relationships that can include the aftermarket hours that you need to pay attention to if you're not looking at that. So we have some numbers. I argued that where these are all temporary numbers. You hit that kind of at least for a day, at least for one day. And this is, you're going to remember this one. I think this is going to be, certainly in terms of price action in any market, probably one of the most devastating 60, 90 days of any market. This is like .com bust material. It just reminds me of how when the NASDAQ topped out in early 2000 and then started rolling over and falling apart 2000, 2001, it just started gapping down and there were very little buyers, and just relentless selling. That's what this whole action back here from May in that zone till it finally let up 3 weeks later. That's what that's all about. That zone, that tight zone, says very little buyers to absorb this action. You're in a zone, even that's something else to note. You're in that zone of being, by definition, harmonically overextended, and it's a crab pattern. So we would focus particular attention more so right here on the 1618, which it gave you an initial bounce, no follow through, and it comes back down. So a hop test, 19,416 on the futures. Maybe we negotiate this for a little bit. Everything I've laid out on the spot price, those charts, nothing changes. If anything, in a few moments, I'll look at why this could be the beginning of a reverse, starting to come back and maybe establish resistance as we stair step. Really critical to see that. Bitcoin futures on the daily. Here's the other interesting aspect that we have a similar situation across the board. The RSI factor, or RSI consolidation in the oversold extreme, has yet to even come out of the zone on the daily, on the weekly. Some of the spot price on your amplified RSI has popped out. These are futures charts right now. This futures daily. There's standard RSI, which we do have. We have RSI BAM for the other HPC Pro modules. We don't have it on TradingView. I'll get to that as well. I mean, a lot to cover today, but I want to focus on the analysis first. We have Harmonic Strength Index on the daily chart, still under your 50, trending lower. We're looking for any kind of confirmation on HSI is going to be a lot better to define the current oversold situations in the futures chart. So this is still a day, 2 days at best, maybe a week, because what happens if we go to a complex structure? What happens if we roll back over, come back down, and then give us a W formation? I started talking about this yesterday, and I want everyone to start thinking, these are the two options. These are the two choices. We're either going to roll back over, we're going to go retest 17, 18, you're 21.3 right now. Maybe you could even come back to the hop at 19,416. Okay, you're not out of any of these zones. Harmonic Strength Index hasn't registered on even a daily. More time. We're still there on more time. The weekly chart for the futures. Take a look here. It's good to look at this. We mentioned this yesterday of why, due to there's no central feed, why it's important to look at other instruments. And you can do this with S&P futures, the index, the SPY, and check their measurements, check their pattern development. Do they link up? Is there anything sticking out in one that's not the other? I mean, this is a good example for Bitcoin futures. It's the same assessment of looking at all-time 886. That's still the BAM target. Let's give it a little perspective here. On the futures chart, that's 11,817. I call it 11.8. Looks like that. Something else to consider, that this 11.8 someday, when it hits, will have to register between Monday and Friday on a trading week which is just a little kind of factoid to put in your brain, where the price action, like this weekend, pretty thin. Not, I mean, it's a little bit different than, say, during the week normally. Although the price action we are measuring the same way, just the whole bit that we still have to go a little bit lower during the week would tell us that, hey, if we have a capitulation over the weekend at some point, we would still have to wait for Monday's open for the futures to test the levels. For me, that's how you register. You'd kind of turn on the signal of cycle being done, start to look for the opportunity. Roy's asking, is 10K suddenly off the table? No. We are looking at the 886 off the 2020 low, the COVID low, on the futures is about 11.8. On the spot price, it's about 11.5. Nothing's changed. We have a gap down from last week on that. I mean, last week was a vicious candle. This, just to kind of highlight right here, early May, okay, early June, the second week of May is a better way to say this. Second week of June, 2 successive breakdowns. Second week of April. There is a lot of repetition, rhyming better with these mini cycles, but breakdown low, maybe a pause. Let's see what we do, bearish or bullish candle. Remember, under 20,500 gets you a bearish candle on the week. If anything, old chartists, technicians would look at that breakdown and say, okay, breakdown continuation, especially with that one, and to a lesser extent, that breakdown as well. But 1, 2, 3 breakdowns are, you might get 4 breakdowns in a major trend, maybe 5. Beyond that, I don't see this. Maybe one more gap down would be beautiful. I think that's, I said this on Saturday and yesterday, where I would love to see this capitulate now. I think that might be the best thing for it. If it pauses, if it wants to vacillate between 19 and 22,000, so be it. Remember, something that I've highlighted in other instances. Our seminar from last month looked at just measuring the day range, measuring the individual bar, depending on what that bar is. But if it's terminal bar or if it's some kind of important inflection, the individual bar itself is, you can do a comparative analysis and just look at last week's, devastating. Just to look off of last week's range, we could retest a 382 to 50 of this range, of that bar, excuse me. And that's a good way to look at that. Think of it as kind of a just, high to low off the last week's consolidation. Last week's breakdown in maybe some kind of consolidation to come over the next few days. 382 of that individual bar, 22,860. And that would be fine. And your low end here of, what was today's low? About 19.6. That's how we want to assess this on the breakdown, especially with large candles, large breakdown candles. Here's another. Let me see if I can. What happened to that candle? All right, here's a perfect example. The breakdown from last month, the second week. Look at that high to low range, usually a 50%. Even in your strong, beyond a 50. Okay, but that's a great way to look at that, where don't get too caught up thinking that it's going to just go to zero. This is actually, even in the strongest of bearish trends, you had a major down move, exhaustion candle, what they were hoping for, and then the corresponding got back to your 50% of that prior bar. But clearly that individual candle couldn't sustain, and just kept on rolling over. The other thing I've done is you look at this with, like, so take this candle down and shoot that as a 1618. Not surprising there's corresponding relationships. And we look at that, again, some of those are advanced concepts I highlight in the course material. It's something to consider. Let me get this back over here. Where's that other one? Okay. Let's break it down really quick on the 4 hour, and look at the 60 minute, because, you know, this is really, we want to be breaking the daily. We're following pretty much, I would say, daily, weekly time frame. We would consider our primary, maybe daily, because the day-over-day action is critical. Our targets, we do have some things on the daily where we're assessing low, definitely low hop levels, but the 4 hour time frame still don't have much here. We do have an oversold HSI reading. Check it out. It's basically there, that came in last week. But if we bring this up, take a look. These are our 4 hour indicators. So 4 hour time frame, harmonic strength index is already up there. Harmonic strength index about to hit the overbought. Standard RSI, that's the bottom one. Okay, that definitely a complex structure. I'll get into that in a second, but that is at the 50 level. And I said this it was yesterday, noticing how the RSI indicator reacts at 50 is so critical if you're going to trend or if you're going to go back down and retest. This is the decision today into tonight. Is this RSI going to get rejected off the 50 level? One of the big reasons is you have this formation. That's a complex reading right there. So that sets you up where you're in reaction territory. I'd have to say that price really has not moved that much. Price has not. It's, you know, I think you would have seen maybe a 1,000 or 2,000 point candle on the 4 hour time frame if this was going to yield more than what you're looking at. So you're pretty close. Pretty close in terms of, is something going to roll back over? I'm still saying look tomorrow, look Wednesday. Maybe we come down one more time. We're certainly there on the 4 hour. You're at your limits. I would be looking this afternoon and into this evening of where this finishes up. The other thing about about HSI with RSI is you want to see both of them register. So HSI is going to come up here on its own. Can amplified hit the oversold and come back down? And then the only question here with RSI, because it's so much slower, what's it going to do at the 50? I would think it's going to come back down and come back to retest that complex structure. Really a lot happening here. I don't. Here's the 60 minute really quick. To go from 17.8 up to 21,000, not bad. At least that was really the first kind of counter trend bounce we saw since 30,000. Here is the 60 minute chart. Tell me what's happening here, folks. Tell me what's happening. It is a bearish ABCD. The software has generated this, where at a minimum top level at 21,437 on the hourly should be capping this for now. Remember, 4 hour indicators are topping out or very close to it. Important to check this afternoon. At a minimum, we would look for the target 1 as a reaction just off of this ABCD at a minimum. Let's see how it comes out. Amplified did register not only once but twice, like this. That's the top indicator. That's amplified RSI. That's kind of our hypersensitive RSI proprietary indicator based on Wells Wilder. But it's just slower. We don't see standard RSI registering anything yet. Meanwhile, we have a double. We would call that a divergence test, simple divergence. It didn't get down to the 50, but you have a higher price at a lower amp RSI reading. And you can't, it's tough to see, but here is HSI, the arrow happened back here on Friday. No, this morning. So 21.3, 21.450, that's a pretty tight zone. That is absolutely gives us a really defined range for this immediate bounce, like this, the one that started Saturday, Sunday into today. That should be about it. And it's really the first pattern off the low that we've seen in the futures, and we do have one or two in the spot price where let's go into tonight and see if we can get these other indicators to register. I mean, that's all Bitcoin right there. Let's go over to the spot price, because stuff like Ethereum, let's go to there, and a few others are pretty interesting. Hold on one second, that didn't come up right. Bear with me. One second, let me come back here. Let me bring this back up. Hold on. Sorry, folks, bear with me. Let me bring over, sorry, I'm missing this. I'm trying to bring this other chart into the screen. Hold up. Hold on. Let me come back to this. I'm having trouble getting that window. Let me do it like this. I got it. All right, good. Here we go. Bring it in like that. Hold on. Why is that not coming in? All right, I'm going to have to bypass this. I'm going to have to go back to the other chart. Sorry about that. Let me show. We're working off the E-signal harmonic pattern collection today. But I'm not getting that other screen to come in. So let me look at one other thing here for Bitcoin. And this is the Bitcoin Trust, the grayscale. Go to, actually, daily. Thanks. Another way to look at the overall progress of where we are. Let me go to weekly, sorry. Bang. Okay. And something I mentioned about the Ethereum, and we've got another pattern here, massive, that I'm paying attention to. It's not acting well, but that's okay. What we have here, major ABCD patterns. I mentioned this yesterday and mentioned it Saturday on Ethereum of looking for the all-time ABCD. On Bitcoin Trust, And we're seeing it in some other coins, major coins, where they've done all-time ABCD. It's the first step. This is the first step. We had an all-time ABCD on the Bitcoin Trust at the top. Now, it had a lot of overspill. Sizable. Good 15% or more. It was kind of like this. And you spent the better part of, what, 2-3 months up there before really rolling over. So this is a starting point, but again, we could fall lower and come underneath here and go back. The other aspect of this chart, again, like all of them, is just a very clear M formation. This has a defined ABCD where the 886 is the cycle spot. That's around 989, call it 10 bucks off the 2019 low. Probably should even go off the 20 low. Since we're going off the 2020 low for all the other ones, it's like that. That's 1092. All of that kind of lines up with the assessment of Bitcoin, where we're looking for that 11.5, 11.8, and then recycle begins anew. And it could happen, I still say it could happen faster than I thought. I thought it would happen over the summer. It's almost happened by the time the summer starts. So these are real developments. These are kind of just the undeniable elements of massive cycle analysis of all the harmonics that are, we run them through the algos, okay? And these go back through hundreds of different market instruments, all kinds of time frames. When you see this major stuff on long, weekly, monthly time frames, and a lot of my folks that are in here now know what I'm talking about. The Macy's, the MRO, the Marathon, the AMCs, that, and all of those, remember those monster patterns we talked about? We started a thread on the group early last year about monster patterns. So in reality, 56 to 13 currently, hit 12, 886 is 1092. I think we're close. That would be a massive structural setup. Now, the only problem with this this M formation is your B point. Again, if we were looking at this as a B point for Grayscale, Bitcoin Trust, that's a little bit deep for being a bat pattern, certainly too deep. Does it qualify as a Gartley? Because the 618 level, it comes in like this. So there's your 618, and let me actually increase that line there. You can really see it. That's the 618. Not sure why this is not registering. It might. One of the thoughts that I had is this could be such a big pattern is that maybe I need to expand the date range on the algo. The software will default and look for patterns that are 3,000 bars typically. In this case, really the alignment is an all-time Gartley. It's an all-time Gartley where we do have an ABCD. So if that all-time Gartley was a thing, on Grayscale, and you just go back to how they backdated it at pennies, fraction of a penny at this point, but 1 point. If that's a 618, that's a Gartley, that's your all-time metric, then maybe the 786 with this alignment is something else to consider. Certainly we'll sandwich it between the two. But your 786 looks like this. I'm glad the other chart screwed up. All-time 786 was hit, folks. 1269 with an ABCD. What do we need here? Like any other pattern would be a confirmation variable. It's not there yet. Go to your weekly Grayscale Bitcoin chart. It's close. It's setting up. You're trying to stabilize, but you're deeply swimming in oversold. Even your RSI, which I know a lot of people can't figure out at the moment. A lot of the crypto influencers are looking at RSI because people are saying, hey, it's the lowest RSI ever. And the only question I have, again, do we go complex on the indicator? Do we form a W formation on that retest of staying? Hold on, bear with me, bear with me. Let me know if you guys are still with me. I lost the connection for 15 seconds. Okay, we're still on. Good. So let's bring it together and let's see what happens here. I want to wrap up on this, just the whole Bitcoin rundown, because it's so critical. So critical. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust shows us what to be looking for. Even better than I think the spot price. If this structurally lines up, it's like a smoothing technique. It smooths out all the insane volatility of the spot price, or how crazy that can be. And then we only get the trading during the week, so it's, relatively more rational, you would think. But that's what we need to see in this process here. With HSI coming out of the zone on the weekly, I think we could make some progress if we go into the end of the month. But price-wise, you still need to come down a good. I'd be satisfied to come back down, to the $10 level, or just a touch under $10. Bitcoin Trust, that would, it may be a little bit lower to get the spot price to 11.5, futures to 11.8, but even here's your monthly. Again, the monthly doesn't have the ABCD, don't have enough bars, but you certainly do the Gartley. And 618 all time, yeah, that's 22. Your all time 886, 690. The other simple thought, and again, I mentioned this with some of the coins where you're at a 786 level where you can still do the harmonic stair step, where you get a little reaction on the first test of a 618, then come back down, hit the next level, 786. That's how generally we look at all price action. If you're not looking at price action in that regard, run all of your charts, your weeklies, your dailies, your monthlies, test the levels. Notice how things happen at the various harmonic nodes. 618, 786, 886, all the way down. A lot on Bitcoin. A lot, really a lot on Bitcoin, because it represents the majority of crypto. It smooths out the Bitcoin chart. I think smooths out the craziness of the rest of all the coins, and how a lot of them have lost 95, 98% of their value. Even the good ones have only lost like 78, 80%. Let's look for this here, though. At least we know this thing is trying to come out on your weekly charts. It might take another week to get out, but you're definitely oversold with almost at the point of starting to make the W. You have not established even a higher low on the indicator yet. Remember, that last ditch down, it not only expanded you lower, but you have 1, 2 successive lows. That should be it. Sometimes you get some crazy zigzagging like we did. Look at here on the top. Up here you have a bunch of zigzag expansion in the overbought. Okay, but once you made the lower high in the indicator, that's really important stuff to be paying attention to. And in this case, we had a fat pattern up there on GBTC. A lot of overspill, but look, the 2 successive highs in the reversal direction was one of the essential keys. That's what we're looking for here. But on the other side, 2 patterns. There's a bearish pattern up there, Now we got a bullish pattern. It's early. It's early, and we have much lower targets still, even after all of this. That plenty of time, but I want to look at this because if it's happened faster than we anticipated, so be it. If this could flash down, and it could be a quick wick, something could be an event-driven quick wick, and then you get a big 886 reaction. Don't be surprised that happens either. This could be next week, could be July, could be October. But that's the general larger bottoming situation we want to see, and here with the weekly, still need some time trying to get out. Okay. I do want to just get back to the general market. Thursday, we'll get into other altcoins, crypto. My only thing about that is if you're going to do anything there, it better be a day trade. I really feel like it's still too uncertain of a market to be holding anything more than, overnight. If you're somebody that can sleep with one eye on the charts, all right, pick your spots. But I just say trade, no hodling, still no hodling. If we got to the 886 on Bitcoin and we registered some weekly confirmation measures, then maybe you could start looking, but just start. It's the beginning. You're not even close to the beginning yet. But I do need to get into something like S&P. S&P is, based on what I've seen, everyone was targeting 41 to 3,900. And those targets were blown out, and they were blown out in ugly proportion of relative to the prior decline of the prior few months. Just let's follow some big numbers. The 50% level from the COVID low on S&P 500, the futures, the index is roughly 3,500, 3,496. You might hear people say 3,490, 3,480. They're just trying to get cute a little bit past the 50 level. It's a 50 level thing. And so if we're going to get the larger bat pattern to take shape, if this is going to take more time, because we are hitting some oversold readings like Bitcoin, but if we were to get a counter trend rally, it might look like this. You come to the 50 level, and you come back up, and then that sets you up for what? A bat pattern. That's the general framework of what I would be expecting over the summer. Come to this 50 level, 3,500, give us a B point, and then you set up for your 886 that goes to 2,478, something like that, with a rather large. Let's see what this C point looks like, but something like that, where you get down here, and it happens pretty quickly. Because think of it this way, all right? We're looking at a correction. We're already in correction phase. And we're looking for possibly more, larger, if things really get insane. We are still up against this massive long-term uptrend that started financial crisis low, 2009. You could even say it started in 82, if you want to really stretch that line back. But this is kind of the thought. This is where you could form some kind of bullish pattern. This looks really nasty now, but lining up with the 886 off the COVID low from the 2020 low lines up with this long-term uptrend, and we can use that as a target, and we can use that also as additional support on whatever the long-term scenario is going to be. Is it going to be an all-time S&P massive crash? That would be pretty devastating. It would have to happen under 2,500. 2,500 would be devastating. But that makes a lot of sense for a worst case scenario for now, for say the next 12 months. I got some ideas of things that I'll ways to play this on the SPY or the diamonds if this is going to come back and do this kind of a thing. Let's say crude oil and everything just explodes like I think it will. This could happen. This could happen pretty quickly. So be aware of this, not only the static ratio of the 50 level, but this could be a way over the next 6 weeks, 8 weeks, we get some kind of M formation at this 50 level and then lead us down into, say, September, October, November, make some kind of crazy low. If it's not this November or end of the year December, maybe we take it into next year. And let's just look at the industrials. It's similar chart. Industrials look like this. All right, pretty nasty candle on the monthly, especially after a big doji. But your 886 on the industrials, 20,337, 340, 350, something like that. We did hit a 382. That was the other thing just recently. I don't think people are looking at standard ratios like that, but the 382 that was temporarily holding up the Dow, or at least this off the COVID low, 29,760, 758. That's just a temporary reason why we're bouncing off of that level. But again, we start the stair step. If we do a little bounce, something like that, and then come back down, we take out 29,750. That's where the Dow should start to accelerate. And then something like this, maybe into towards later in the year. But this 382 test on the Dow, I thought that was pretty significant. This is what it looks like on the 30-minute or 60-minute time frame. There it is. That blue line. So it only spent a couple hours down there. I agree with that. James is saying it's a trader's market. I've been saying that exclusively. I don't, entering a new long position unless, well, Thursday I'm going to get into some new longer long positions that are going to try to take advantage of this current correction in crude oil, which is a farce. Can't overstate that. Let me finish up really quick with QQQ. Same deal. I mean, NASDAQ futures, index, the NASDAQ 100, QQQ here. Oh, are we going to get a bat pattern there? Hold on. Oh, that's 30-minute. Let me go daily first. So the triple Qs, just still in a downtrend. We were looking at a couple. I've got a bunch of patterns here generating. Let me remove the ABCDs really quick. That's what it looks like when you have ABCDs included. Even take off. We have a bat and a crab on that, but let's just look at the crab. This is the same crab on the index futures chart. This is 11. This hop level at 289 for the NASDAQ 100. That is the 11,848 level, and that's the make or break. We failed. We have another lower HSI trying to give this something. Not much. Not much here. I mean, it's very sloppy, as I said many times with all these NASDAQ scenarios, and a lot of those, a lot of the individual stocks that are failing zones, we can just expect mini reactions and then just keep rolling back over. This is still going to take time. The other easiest way, same deal with crypto, draw your trend lines and just get until you're on the right side of one or both of these. I mean, that's a really steep slope. Sorry, just wide slope, and then going into the zone, your BC trend line, breaking it down. Kind of looks like that. Until you can crack that, you need to be the right, and that's probably more like next month. Even if we were to pop for 2 or 3 days, which wouldn't be a surprise, you have a lot of time, a lot of work here. I think it's tradable. I do think it's tradable. You have big patterns, and there's just a shout out to gold members. Gold members, there's a couple new posts. There's I had an issue with the playlist, but they're now fixed. The 3 ideas are up for the week. Do check that out. Gold and silver members. Anyway, plenty of time down here, lots of trading. I think it's a vehicle for options on either side. That's something I will also get into with just to let this whole market kind of shake itself out. I think the last 2 or 3 weeks have been so severe, especially with the Dow, S&P down 11 weeks in a row. You just kind of step aside. I mean, that has never happened before. So maybe we can at least stabilize this week. Here's going to be my segue into Thursday session. And I want everyone to start tracking energy and energy stocks because we have a massive sharp reaction that's unfolding. Here's the XLE. And once this thing is over, the longer trend is going to resume. Let's go to crude oil futures. Continuous. 125 got rejected, the 886. Here is the daily butterfly, okay? I think we mentioned this last week. I know on the nat gas chart, we had a type 2 crab pattern where we were looking for this move. It's the corresponding response, especially for crude oil. There's your completion point on the butterfly. And we're down at target 1. Friday was down $7. That was, I think, probably your exhaustion day. And I would expect this thing to stabilize in here and get ready for the type 2 return that potentially that breaks you out. Interesting enough, let's go to your HSI. And well, indicators across the board are positive. Check out what happened at the butterfly peak, okay? Here's amplified RSI is our top indicator. That red line stopped right there. Okay, that means it's the end of a bearish RSI BAM. And that confirmed the reaction, but no HSI. There's no HSI here. So I probably would not have taken that trade because I need both. Those are my preferred. If I have HSI alone, so be it. But I still say this is a reaction, and you got a sharp reaction all the way down on crude already to the point where it is oversold right now. Crude oil at 111 is oversold. I want to see HSI come in and register maybe down a little bit more. Maybe you peak under 110, and then they're going to get the big return. And that big return is where I think a lot of trend continuation moves and potential failures on the retest happen. I still say that we crack all-time new highs on crude oil. If it's not later this summer, it's by the end of the year. Right now, you're just bumping up I think if you recall that, back in March, we were streaming when this happened, when it hit the 125 was the all-time 886. So a pause here was not a surprise, and that's a weekly, maybe a 30-week pause. 30 weeks in terms of crude oil holding up in this range, which it definitely is. It's a 2-week range, really. That's all that reacted. And then 30 bars gets you 7, 10. You're halfway there, 15. Another 4 months to really get going again, maybe this fall. You could vacillate between 130 and 105, 110 on the downside, but this is not stopping. And this is going to be a big continuation once it gets going. What I'm looking for in terms of pattern development is a big W formation on the crude index. spot price and futures, continuous futures index here to say, give me a deep crab. And it has all of the characteristics here of a strong trend just reacting and then giving you a W formation. I hope this ages well, but we've done this before. Let's see how it goes. But that gets your XAB down here, and then we start CD leg. And CD leg that goes up to a 1618. That's, I really think the strength of the trend is nothing has gotten in his way so far. The larger outlook and where we are already with crude oil says this situation is not getting fixed anytime soon. 155 is the 1618. Now this is a deep crab. This is going to be closer to the 886, and deep crab's going to get overspilled. So I'm already anticipating this. I'm just thinking that that sell-off last week was such a farce and just a lot of profit taking. That's all it was. That I'm already preparing for this 1618 breakout. There's going to be some new ideas on a couple of stocks that on the website probably next week. I still say we need another week, maybe two, to finish this and then start the return phase. But energy, no doubt. Second half of this year, I want to be there. I definitely want to be there. Let me show natural gas, because this was another market we have been in front of from the beginning. And again, we nailed this at the $9 level, looking for the pullback. And I say this because nat gas is a volatile market. It's going to give you opportunities left and right if you're taking the profits when you have to. Shout out to a friend of mine who we just talked on Friday about this. $6 on the downside for nat gas would be the maximum limit. That's like there. We're already starting to respond. I posted a crab pattern. Folks on the Discord got it. If you're not a part of the Discord, please, thank you for posting that link, David. Definitely get involved with the Discord. We're going to probably put all the free information there and then have a basic be a one-time fee of like $20 or something. I'll wait till the end of the month. Nat gas on the 4-hour chart, folks. This is something we want. This is our goal. This is all the analysis. I come in here and talk about the strategies, harmonic relationships. But the most important thing that I want to do always every day for myself and traders is get you in the location before it happens. And I mean with the least amount of drawdown in time and price. And that's what nat gas is doing right now. I still say it needs maybe another day or so. Can we get to as low as $6? I want to see what happens here off this shark on the 4-hour time frame. Look at the trend line into the zone. Just draw it like that. We could, yeah, really go off of that, or even go off of that maximum candle. That puts you somewhere in the next week. Maximum, I would say by next week, this thing is going to start to resolve itself. Even if it does something like this, goes to target 1, comes back down, it's setting up for the larger move, continuation move, well above 9, 1550, still my target on that gas. Long term. Remember this? If you haven't seen this one, go all the way back to 2005. Some of the last days I was actually on the floor there. 1550, 1618 is 1488, 89, 1490. Let's call it $15. But we will zigzag along the way, stair step. We always do. So be aware of that. Be aware of the fact that that correction in energy last week that's a gift. That is a gift, and we're going to line that up and get ready to ride that for the next leg higher. I mean, it's kind of like this. Actually, I'm actually going to wrap it up on this here. Here's the last bull market in nat gas energy in the mid 2000s. God, seems like eons ago. But we had a massive spike. This is crude oil, folks, up to the prior historic 886 swing. Now, do we get some kind of C point? I mean, that's a weekly, that's a big chart. I'm thinking a C point on a daily, and then you get a big 1618 up to the top. Markets rhyme, not necessarily repeat, but that's a perfect example of that within a harmonic pattern, kind of the layout. I really think the 1618 weekly move would define this energy crisis, which it is. We break all-time highs, you go to a 1618 in a big move inside of a 6 to 9 month move, could even be less, and you max it out, and then the cycle's over. That is, really amazing stuff. I was on the floor with a friend of mine just as a visitor, interested party in what he did as an independent. He was the largest independent natural gas trader. I was crunching harmonic numbers with my laptop literally on the side of the pits. He was doing his stuff and I was going there, and we had done a lot of work and analysis on looking at this market, and me watching it as the traders were doing open outcry. One of the best trading experiences of my life, putting together the patterns in live trading. But once we got up to that 1618, again, that was something where I said, hey, isn't that significant? Shouldn't that be overbought? And it was. It just, once it hit, it was a fast inflection. And that's something with these big numbers as well on the the weekly or the monthly, that when they line up and they hit, you have to be aware of them in advance, because they can hit it, do the inflection, and it be over already. That's kind of the thought on Bitcoin of, we can do a flush to the all-time 886. We want to be ready. It's much lower, but in terms of time, it could happen 3 to 6 months. It almost looked like it was going to happen last week. That's what I have for today, folks. Again, thank you. Really appreciate everyone being here. What's the doink audio? I'll explain that next time, Stephanie. But we will get into all of that. Just wait for the signals. Wait for these. Look for the definitive signals. Let's see what happens here on the follow through. By Thursday, we'll know what this looks like, especially with the crypto scene. Is that going to really fall apart? I think we'll get a rollover and retest by Thursday. But come on back, 12 noon Thursday, folks, and then get with Harmonic Trader. Go to harmonictrader.com. That's all I'm going to say. I'll give you a promo on Thursday. So